So the ones that I found, I'm sure there's a bunch of different versions of it, but the ones that I found are called Mary's Gone crackers, and we like the one that's like everything bagel flavored, which is surprising because I actually hate that flavor in everything else, including bagels. But it's really, really, really good with hummus. And so they have like flax seeds, and they're made of just a bunch of other seeds and stuff like that too. And it's just a smashed cracker. Now, I will say, I probably wouldn't eat them by themselves, right? Like if I was just snacking on crackers. But they're awesome with hummus. And if I'm trying to convince myself to eat some baby carrots, a nice like one for one, two for one type of thing is a really good combo. So that's one of my favorite combos. Is that the same brand that you have?
I have, it's called like Blue Diamond.
Oh,
It's a
yeah,
Blue
yeah.
Diamond brand, and
Okay.
those are really good. I'll get the flaxseed and I'll get almond crackers as well.
Ah,
Yeah.
ooh, I'll have to try that. We get their nuts, like their seasoned nuts and stuff like that, and they
And
are really good quality. So I
uh,
didn't even know that they had almond crackers.
yeah, I stumbled upon it, so I got a box of each to see which one I would
Nice.
like better. I really like them both, actually.
Okay,
So, yeah.
nice. There was one version of the Mary's Gone crackers that was like seaweed or something, which I know sounds gross. But it has like the umami flavor to it. And
Mm.
those I could totally eat by themselves. I will say that they're a little, because they're mostly made of seeds, they're not as crispy as regular crackers, right? They're a little crunchy. But they were really good. I really enjoyed them. So, all right. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. If anyone else comes in, we will let them in. So today, as you know, we're going to go back into our pillar. We kind of switched a couple of them. So we did mindset on Monday. We did fitness yesterday. And both of you were here for that. So we can kind of play off of that conversation as well. And then we're going to do nutrition today. So that's our next pillar. So if I can ask you what I'm thinking, why do you think that I put mindset as the most important? We'll just call that one mindset as the most important. Why do you think I put nutrition being more important than fitness?
Well, I mean, I think they go hand in hand, but if you don't get your nutrition right, it doesn't matter how much working out you do. You're not going to reap the benefits of what you're trying to achieve. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
I guess maybe like the why of it, like going and picking up a bar is kind of, you know, maybe not that much fun. But if you have a why for like, why do you want to lift heavy weights or something like that, then it becomes more doable or something you want to do.
Yeah. Absolutely. Cool. I love that. So one of the things that I've heard, I'm sure you guys have heard some version of this before, abs are not made in the gym, they're made in the kitchen type of thing, right?
Hmm.
So that's one of the reasons that I wanted to make sure that we talked about nutrition in general first. Obviously, we're doing it second today because it's an upgrade. But that's the reason that I wanted to have it be more of a base layer. Because just like you talked about, Kristen, if you don't have your nutrition in place, then like all of the work that you're putting in the gym isn't doing a whole lot for you, right? And we can get a lot away with that a little bit more when we're younger, when we're teenagers or in our 20s and stuff like that, and you haven't damaged your metabolism. And I say that very specifically because it's not that you like, just like the characteristic motivation, you don't have a fast metabolism or a slow metabolism. It's not a characteristic. It's how did we treat our system, right? And so if we think
Hmm.
about it a little bit differently, it's not that I have a fast metabolism, it'd be that I'm taking care of my metabolic system and that I haven't damaged it. Because as soon as you start damaging your metabolic system, what happens? We end up running into a bunch of issues with like what, blood sugar, diabetes, other chronic illnesses, heart disease, et cetera, right? That's all cumulative damage. And
Hmm.
so if we're not taking care of that first, then who cares if we're in the gym or not, right?
Hmm.
And if you think about when people are trying to do fitness and they want to think about like how many calories they're burning and stuff like that, if that's the reason that you're in the gym, you're probably doing it wrong, right? Because if you think about it, I wasn't even intending to talk about this, but it's a nice flow for what we're talking about. If you think about it, you do a 1 mile run, how many calories do you think you burn?
Not that many, actually.
Like maybe 100, two if you're going
Maybe.
really hard, right?
Yeah.
Like not a lot.
When I'm on the treadmill at the gym, like if I do a mile, I think it usually comes out to honestly about 100,
Yeah.
almost exactly.
And how
Mhm.
quickly can you eat 100 calories?
Oh gosh. Let's not even talk about that.
Right. So that's why it's more important, right? Because you can't outwork a bad diet, right? I'm sure you guys have heard that one too. You can't outwork a bad diet because if we are doing all the things that we need to in the gym, but we're not fueling it, we're also not recovering well. We're also not being able to feed our muscles to make sure that they are actually growing, stuff like that, right? So I digress. I just wanted to make sure that we understood why it was kind of that base layer before we even worry about fitness, right?
Mhm.
And then we'll get into why I put them in this order next. So the next piece that we're going to talk about for the nutrition is diets. We've had a couple conversations on this in the workshop, in previous workshops before. So I just want to talk about the general idea behind diets. Has anyone tried one? I would like to hear your experience of how it went, if it lasted, etc.
I did one in my 20s when I found out I was insulin resistant, and
Mm-hmm.
my doctor was trying to get me to lose weight rather quick. And so it was a 1,500 calorie diet, 100 grams of protein, no more than 15 teaspoons of sugar, and in conjunction with like some other factors, right? But that was the nitty gritty of it. And it definitely is not sustainable long term. It's not meant to be long term, but I also learned once you start putting things back in without boundary or structure or anything like that, it's not a sustainable loss either.
Awesome. And one of the things that you and I have been going back and forth with battling, can you tell Nate a little bit more about the carb piece?
Yeah, so I was taught how to understand how much sugar is in your food was by a math equation with your carbs, subtracting dietary fiber, and then dividing by 5. And that is how many teaspoons of sugar were in your food. And I couldn't exceed more than 15 in a day, and I couldn't exceed more than one at breakfast. So it was very structured while I was on the diet, right? But what I've struggled with is like deviating away a little bit to be able to understand that I need carbs to fuel me in certain environments. And so that's something Michelle's worked with me on quite a bit with my diet and helping me not focus so much on the teaspoons and doing the math and all of that, but on other areas. And maybe I'm not articulating this well, Michelle, if you want to jump in, but it's very easy for me to go back to the math equation I did for so long versus figure out an alternate method, if that makes sense.
And you bring up two really good points. First is that that diet had a purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
generally speaking, you both probably know where I stand on this. I don't like diets. Just generally speaking, I don't like the idea behind them. I don't like the restrictiveness of them. Um, there are some that are specific for a purpose, right? Being able to
Mm-hmm.
figure out allergies and being able to improve your insulin resistance, right? Which is what you went through.
Mm-hmm.
Like you mentioned, it's also really hard to get out of one, the mindset,
Mm-hmm.
and two, being able to transition to eating in a different manner. Right. And so
Yep.
that's what I was hoping that you would cover. I appreciate that
Yep.
because it's really like we were talking about brainwashing yourself yesterday, right, Nathan, with your fitness? It's brainwashing the wrong direction. It's like that restrictive, like, oh my gosh, I can't eat this thing, you know? And so then we get into that. I've definitely done that myself too. I've gone through phases where I like swore off drinking or swore off sweets or swore off, and like because it was so extreme, then the other end of it, like we talked about with our fitness, you just kind of stop and you're like, well, I didn't do it today. I might as well just go ham. Like, you know what I mean? So I've absolutely been there. Nate, do you have any experiences with diets?
Um, I don't know about an official diet. When I was kind of in conjunction with my story last night, I I would kind of I didn't like to have well I cut out pop, um, and a lot of sweets, not all. I still had ice cream and my grandma's pie. Uh, anyhow, but I would basically So I guess what I was trying to say is I didn't really like have a diet where it's like I can't eat this or that, but I did kind of. It was basically like kind of like intermittent fasting before it was even like I didn't know about it. I just like I'm gonna eat a lot for for breakfast and lunch, and then like very little for dinner, or maybe sometimes I'd skip lunch, kind of. So I'd skip lunch or dinner, or eat little. Never skipped, maybe, but ate very little, usually dinner. Um, and so I was always hungry for, not always, I mean, sometimes I had to kind of give myself a break. But like eventually I got to a point where it's like, I don't care anymore. I'm not going to like, I was basically restricting my calories without actually counting them. And so I was like, I got to a point where I was like, I don't, I don't care anymore, which, and I got super lucky at first because like I think it was my senior year of high school. At some point, I'm just like I'm eating whatever I want until I'm full. I'm not. Where I got super lucky was I played 1 year of college baseball, and so because I was working out all the time, and in conjunction, I was not eating enough for years, like 3 4 years probably, and then all of a sudden I was eating, at least until I was full, and maybe a little bit. I would just eat till I was full. And I gained like 10 or 15 pounds of mostly muscle just because, well, one, I was working out, but two, like I was just eating not enough. So I was like, even though I wanted to gain muscle, I was not like, I was never going to because I wasn't eating enough.
Yeah, like not fueling the muscle like we were talking about earlier.
It did kind of backfire eventually though, because it's like when there would be periods of time where I didn't work out, and eating whatever you want when you're not working out definitely doesn't work.
Especially when you exit athletics, right? Like
Yeah,
after
yeah.
that
Well, after I
year.
left baseball, is really when that happened. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I see that transition a lot too. And that's an interesting thing to think about. It's like the absence of a diet is also an issue sometimes. And again, we're talking diet now as a general like description of what you're eating. The absence of having any like awareness of what you're eating, and that's kind of what we're going to talk a little bit more about today. Also can backfire, right? Especially if you're super active and then for some reason you stop being active. So a lot of college athletes go through that, right? And they'll graduate and then they don't have an outlet maybe for as much energy expenditure as they had before, but they're still eating the same things. And not only
Mhm.
that, or you're in your mid 20s and you probably again haven't done that much damage to your metabolism, but it's starting to slowly add up, right? So that's what we're going to talk a little bit more about today is kind of the way that we can start to look at our awareness or what we're eating, and making sure that we're able to continue to, I'm trying not to use the word, not give it away, but continue to be able to build that awareness and make sure that we're eating the things that are going to support whatever activities we are doing or are not doing, right?
Mhm.
So one of my clients actually, when she first started building university, was just kind of eating. She was an athlete too, eating whatever was in the house. And so protein bars and lots of quick snacks and stuff like that, which like generally speaking wouldn't look that bad if you look at it on paper, right? And then when we
Mhm.
started to learn how to actually like read the labels and figure out how to make the changes to the things that she was eating, she like her energy got better. She felt lighter. She could actually see a reflection in her tumbling. So like all of those pieces, and I'm sure Kristen that you've gone through some of that too, right? We're seeing differences in your body recomp, which is awesome.
Mhm.
That all comes from us increasing like the quality of the foods, right? And so that's where I'm going to introduce this concept. So yesterday we talked about the better than nothing, right? Where we just want a plan B, plan C, whatever we need to do. We just need to do something to make sure that we're continuing to keep that fitness up. And so that's why I switched them, because today is the upgraded version of better than nothing. And I think, Kristen, you maybe just learned about this last month. It's called the next best thing.
Mhm.
And so the idea behind it is now we've created standards for ourselves. We know what we should be doing, right? So like let's name, just shout out like 5 foods that you think are good for you or healthy.
Avocado.
I'd go with sweet potato. Um,
Uh, ultra lean beef.
Ooh,
grapes.
okay.
Lettuce.
Uh, chicken.
Another one.
We'll go last one.
Tomato.
Oh, peach.
Okay, now this is the easy one. We'll do four because we did four last time. Four things that are not good for us, so we shouldn't be eating that much.
Chocolate.
I'd say pop.
Alcohol.
Oh, um, toaster strudel. I don't know why that came to mind.
Oh, that sounds so good. Um, Twinkies.
Oh, I would pie.
That's it.
I'm gonna go, gonna say bread.
Oh, okay. Asterisk.
Hmm.
McDonald's French fries.
There we go. So we know what we're supposed to be eating and not supposed to be eating, right? At least most of the time, right?
Yeah.
So it's not a lack of knowledge or understanding, especially when it comes to like eat more plants, eat more vegetables. Like the number of times that my clients are like, "Oh, I just need to eat more fruits and vegetables." I'm like, "Okay, cute, but like, what does that actually mean, and how are you going to do it,
Yes.
right?" So that's what we know what we're supposed to be eating. So it's all about the execution piece. So that's where this the next best thing theory is going to come into play because we are essentially just taking whatever we're eating now and we're going to do a small upgrade. We're just going to pick the next best thing, the next best version, kind of level ourselves up a little bit. And then one of my favorite things to say for this is you only have to make that decision once, right? So an example that I had that was super easy, and I didn't even think about it at first, is have you guys had the Lara bars? They're like dates and cashews.
Hmm.
Yeah, so they had a version that had chocolate chips. So like, I'm gonna say I'm gonna pick the chocolate chip one because yum. And so I would eat Lara bars with the chocolate chips in them, and that was one of my snacks. And there's nothing too crazy in there. Again, chocolate chips, whatever. One of my friends was what that I was training with was like, hey, do you want to do a no sugar month with me? Like, I think that'd be really fun. It'd be a good challenge for us. And I was like, oh, I don't really eat that much sugar. That should be totally fine. And this was in my like eat a salad every day era. So I'm doing pretty good. And then I was like, shit, my Lara bars they have chocolate chips in them. Oh no. And so I found out that the Lara bars had a version that was just cashews and dates with no chocolate chips. Easy swap, right? And
Hmm.
never have I gone back to the chocolate chip version after this. Not because like it was that big of a difference, but because the one without the chocolate chips was just as good. And it doesn't
Hmm.
have chocolate chips, it doesn't have the chocolate in it, and it was like less sugar. It has no added sugar. It's literally just dates and cashews, and it's actually really good. I eat it almost every day. And so it's those small upgrades that we can make where you're like, actually, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, right? And now, by no means does this mean that we can't ever have that other thing. It's just like, how can we make these small upgrades to our food that we're eating now to get it more often, or as we talked about with our fitness, more consistently the right direction. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Nate, you're appalled by my decision.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, there's nothing wrong with dates, but I have to disagree. I would have to think the chocolate chip one is much better tasting.
All right, to each their own, which is totally fine. So, but that's the idea behind it. So the next best thing is like, okay, what can we take now that we're eating and how can we upgrade it? So, Kristen, will you tell Nate about your dessert that you just found?
Yes, I'm obsessed with it. It's called Fluffy Jello. And what it is it's basically sugar-free Jello and a cup. Sometimes I do a little bit more just to get some extra protein, but a cup of um non-fat like Greek yogurt and you just mix it together and that's all that it is. And you let it sit in the fridge like you do Jello. And then what I do, so basically one whole pan is like 25 grams of protein and like it's something crazy like 150 calories. It's nothing, like the whole thing. Now, I don't eat the whole thing because that's a lot of substance. But what I do is every time I get like this sweet tooth hankering, I'll go in and cut out like a third of it and eat it. And it's just, oh, it's so good. So good.
Awesome. And it sounds
Yeah,
really
sounds
good. I
pretty
haven't
good.
tried it yet. Yeah. And so that's the idea, right? Is being able to find some substitutes. Like we even talked about your movie watching set of snacks, right?
Yes.
We've upgraded
Yes.
those. So Nate, obviously Kristen has a lot of practice upgrading. Let's upgrade some of your choices. So what's something that you feel like you're eating now that maybe you could level up?
So I often have a, not every day. Um, there, I used to have one every day, uh, protein bar, but often they're almost always covered in chocolate. And I'm even the ones that don't have chocolate, I'm sure they're covered in or have a lot of sugar. I'll bet I don't really look at the sugar content, but um, 20 grams of protein, I think. But yeah, there's probably a more nutritious option, I would think. It's also
Okay.
a lot of calories. They're like 270 calories or something like that.
Yeah. I don't remember where I got this. I think maybe we talked about this, Kristen. There's some random rule where basically they determined, this might just be someone's opinion, but I thought it was interesting that if you can get a bar that is 10% or more protein per the calories, then that's a pretty decent choice.
Okay.
So let's say that you can
Yeah,
only
I'm sure
find a
there's some
bar
good
that's
ones.
200 calories with 20 grams of protein instead of the 270, then that could be an upgrade, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think they're great in like when you're short on time and almost need like a meal. But if you just want a snack, I realize they're probably not my best option.
Yeah,
Better
absolutely.
than a candy bar, though.
That one.
Yeah.
Next best thing. I definitely have protein bars. So like macro bars, for example, totally have added sugar on them, but they're freaking
Mm-hmm.
delicious. That's my candy bar, right? And it's still
Mm-hmm.
going to be better than me picking up like a Snickers. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I'm obsessed with these. I'm obsessed with a lot of sweet things right now. At least it seems sweet. I'll have to, I think it's Quest. And it's a protein bar that they have in like a lemon flavor and a blueberry flavor. And believe it or not, what I'm drawn to the most is the texture of it.
Oh, okay.
But it's so good. So good.
I love that. And hopefully we'll get some more upgrades from people in the chat too. That's one of the things that I'm going to ask for as one of the questions. Another one that we did more recently is there's a Primal Kitchen. I don't know if you guys have heard that brand before. They have a ketchup that doesn't have any added sugar in it.
Does it taste like ketchup?
Yeah, it tastes exactly like ketchup. It's just not as sweet, right? Because
Okay.
the ketchup is a little bit sweeter. It's a
Hmm.
little bit tangy, but they also have a version that is called a tad of honey, and so they put a
Oh,
little bit of
okay.
like natural sweetener in there. And so that's actually what I think we ended up with because we tried to do the full like no sweetened version. I didn't mind it too much, but Capo didn't really like it, and so then we decided to do the next version, which was the honey, which is technically like probably closer to the
Hmm.
original, but it's still better than the original version because we all know that ketchup is like 50% sugar. I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean? So it's small stuff like that. We'll do one more each. Kristen, what's one more thing that you feel like you have or could upgrade?
Gosh, I mean, one of the biggest things I don't remember, Michelle. Um,
I know we did have a conversation about how you really liked crunchy, snacky,
yeah.
salty.
Okay,
Was it
yes. So,
pretzels?
yeah, so I used to be a pretzel addict. I love to munch on them all day, every day, best tasting thing in the world. So, what I did was to get away from that because I couldn't continue to eat that way, was we got these pretzel, they look like little round wafers and they're supposed to be like an everything type flavor, but they give the texture of eating a pretzel, but it's full of protein. And so you don't get the sugar, you don't get the calories, and you get protein with it that I wouldn't get if I were eating pretzels. So I've replaced pretzels with that.
Nice.
So I really enjoy that.
Very cool. Nate, let's do one more for you. Anything else that you want to try?
Yeah, I guess the thing I thought of was I love juice in the morning. Um, I tried, like right now I have cranberry juice, but supposedly 100% cranberries. So I'm a little skeptical, but I have to look at the ingredients. Um, or, probably even better than that would just be to have some fruit or frozen fruit. I mean, I still have fruit, but replace that juice with, I don't know, something about juice though. I just love having it in the morning.
And cranberry juice probably isn't the worst, but things like orange juice, right? Because we're taking the actual fruit itself and like breaking it down. We won't get too much into the semantics of it, but essentially it actually causes your blood sugar to spike a lot more aggressively, which can
I
cause
think
you to crash, right?
I think that's probably why I like it in the morning.
He's like, let's go.
Little sugar
And
rush
then do you want
mixed
to
with
take
some
a
caffeine.
nap shortly after?
Well, about when I get to work.
Yeah, okay. So maybe that's what it's doing to you. And that's something to pay attention to as well. And again, not getting too deep into the weeds, is like how the foods make you feel, right? And so that's the whole idea behind this, again, is not to like never ever eat anything that's like delicious and possibly bad for you, but to like pick things more often and more consistently that are both backing up like your goals and also your values, right? And like what's actually important to you in the long term, right?
Absolutely.
Cool. Okay. All right, let's do takeaways. Kristen, what you
got? My takeaway is that replacing things with the next best choice doesn't always have to be something that's miserable.
Yeah. Yes. And if you decide to upgrade later, awesome. If not, at least you're picking a better choice, right?
Yep.
Totally. Nate?
Yeah, I would say substitutes. I haven't thought about substitutes too much lately, so it might be something to consider. I do have a quick question.
Yeah.
For a challenge question, I'm about to go for a walk. Does a walk count for the half hour of exercise?
I will leave that up to you.
Okay.
And that's why I leave it open-ended, right? So if somebody doesn't walk and walking is their exercise, then maybe that would count.
Yeah.
And I will leave it there.
Well said, Michelle.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. I will put this in the group. P.S. I'm going to make an announcement. So Kristen and I were texting last night about the workshop points, and I wasn't sure if it was super duper clear that you can get up to 1 point for the workshops, but I'm sure you guys saw that I am adding half points if they watch the replay and reply. And so I was like, well, I mean, maybe we can get up to 2 points because they could watch 4 out of the 5 replays and get 2 points. So points. So thank you for being here. You will be rewarded.
I am in this to win this.
Yes. All right, you are both set. Thank you so much, and I will hopefully see you soon.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you.